Boys and girls, this is Benjamin Bang Choi. Welcome back to another F1 23 ranked online video. Today we are at Zandvoort. We only got one race for you today, and this is probably the most physically demanding race that I've done in quite a bit. So a little bit of conundrum going straight into quali, as it seemed like we were going to be racing in the wet. Now I wasn't really sure if the race was going to be inters or full wets, so I had to make a decision on the setup here. Do we want to go for a full dry setup and just try and qualify ahead of everybody and then hold them back during the race, or do we want to set up our car for the wet race, as we weren't really sure what the pace was. That's one of the things that I really dislike about ranked races, is you're running into random people, so you don't know how fast they are, whereas in a league race you kind of have an idea of how quick people are. So we went for 50-42 wings, trying to qualify well, and then hopefully we can qualify high enough that we can just hold people back. And currently sitting P3, so it's not too bad. There were a couple gold 3 guys in here. We are gold 2 this week, and there were a couple gold 1s, I believe. So currently P3, we're gonna jump up there to P2 for a split second, but then we're gonna lose it on the straight here, as I think some guys were on the full dry setups and they had the straight line speed on us. So currently P3, not too bad. It is inters weather, and we're trying to get a decent start here. So not a terrible start, actually. I think we were on par with the guys in P1 and P2. Now I was trying to follow in the guy on pole here because he was faster in quali, but I think I made the wrong decision, because Ivan in P2 actually had a better turn 1. So we kind of got blocked in a little bit, and then Mullenman or Burnsy gets down our inside. We go into the back of him, we lose momentum a little bit, and then Mullenman gets down our inside in the carousel, and then we end up losing another position. So the race start was okay, but going into turns 2 and 3, we lost a few positions there, which wasn't all that great. And SS7, who qualified on pole, lost P1 almost right away, and Ivan's gotten out into P1. So yeah, if you guys have raced at Zandvoort, you know how twisty and turny this is. I like to race, I like to set up my steering wheel with 100% force feedback, and in game I have the force feedback set to 150% or 150. So max force feedback on my CSLDD 8 Newton meter model, and that was quite a mistake. Zandvoort is really twisty and turny. You're constantly turning the steering wheel, and then in the wets you're having to make all these little micro corrections because you're trying to figure out where the grip was. And so I don't know, like by lap 10 my wrists were in pain and they were hurting so bad. So I think next time I do a wet race, I'm gonna have to turn down the force feedback a little bit, just to try and prevent that from happening again. So end of lap 1, start of lap 2, we're still in P5. Now there's a group of 4 behind us who are fighting for P6, and they're over a second behind, so luckily for us we can focus on the guys out in front. Mullenman is really close behind Burnsy. They're about to start fighting. Ivan's kind of taken off, and SS7's kind of stuck in the middle of P1 and P3. So I'm hoping that these 2 guys ahead of us, Mullenman and Burnsy, will start fighting, and then either take one guy out or both of them go out. And then going into this right-hander, Burnsy goes a little bit wide, and you do not want to go wide on this corner there, because if you hit that outside curb, you just lose control of your car. So luckily for us, we get one free position there, and we can kind of settle into this race. As you can see now, the guys behind us are about 2 seconds back. So Mullenman's caught up to SS7, and they are going to start fighting, specifically this corner here and on the main straight. So Mullenman is trying to get by. Looks like SS7 has a completely dry setup on. He's just got no pace in the race now. And I still have 100% battery. There's really no point in just draining the battery to catch up to these 2 guys, because 1, you're in the wets, 2, you're at Zandvoort, passing is really impossible anyway, and 3, there's no DRS, so you can't really do anything. You have to wait until one of these guys gets isolated, and then you can overtake them. But when they're this close together, trying to overtake one guy is impossible, and then 2 guys is just really impossible. So at this point I'm just holding back. I want Mullenman to get by SS7, and then have Mullenman start to drop back, and then I can try and attack SS7, as it seems like SS7 is the slower driver here. So Mullenman's still trying to get by on lap 6, cannot do it. They do touch every once in a while, but it seems like it was pretty clean here, and I'm hoping that both of them are wasting battery. Now it's impossible to tell because in wet weather their lights are constantly flashing, but I'm hoping that they're using all their battery to attack or defend, and then by the time one of them falls back to me, we will have a high battery advantage. As you can see, we're still at 100% every time we come to the start finish straight here. So lap number 7, SS7 is still in P2. Mullenman tries to take it down the inside there, but just cannot get by, so that he's been fighting for quite a few laps now. And then on the back DRS straight here, Mullenman gets a little bit of a run. Outside, inside, makes a dive here. I don't know if they make contact here, but Mullenman gets a better run and SS7 goes out wide. They do make contact here, as you can see. SS7 swings back to left, and they do touch tires, but Mullenman finally gets by, and I'm expecting him to just drive off into the distance, and I'm gonna try and set up SS7 for the overtake here. So at this point I was so damn tired already. My wrist was hurting. Just trying to take my thumb off of the grip of the wheel to go and deploy battery took so much energy because my wrist was hurting at this point. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know in the wets all the little micro corrections that you have to make on the steering wheel is just it kind of makes it difficult to control the car, and then when you're doing it with max force feedback, by lap 10 your wrist just hurts like hell. And so it was a little bit difficult, and like I said, probably the most physically draining race that I've done in quite a while. So lap number 11 here, we are less than a second behind P3, and Smelt is behind us as well. Now Smelt was stuck behind somebody, and he's starting to gain time on us as well, so now I'm worried about the guy behind and trying to overtake SS7 here. We are really close on this lap, and I'm still unsure about this final corner. As you can see, lifting off a little bit. We should be able to take it flat out. Got close enough, try to make it around the outside here, but just not confident in the setup quite yet. And I'm hoping to drain this guy of his battery a little bit more, and maybe eventually overtake him later on. Lap number 12 here. We're a little bit further back this time. Gonna try and set him up on this final corner. Do we go flat out? Yes, we have the confidence to go flat out this time. And we start using the battery once again. P3 takes the inside, goes back to the left to try and take the racing line. We take it down the inside here, just not really close enough. And we don't get very good traction on the inside there. So another failed attempt, but Smelt coming really close behind now, less than a second behind. So I'm starting to worry about him. I can see him in the rear view mirror now. And I don't want to make a mistake and eventually get overtaken and then just lose a position myself. So we're going to try and set him up once again, trying to get as close as possible, and hopefully by now he's lost a good chunk of his battery defending. So we're not super close this time, but I'm going to try and feign an overtake to see if we can get him to drain some more of his battery and give us an advantage here. So we do turn on the overtake a little bit, but we turn it off halfway down the straight because we weren't really close enough. As you can see now, Smelt P5 has dropped back to over a second once again. So it looks like we are giving ourselves a little bit of breathing room behind, and now he is 3 seconds behind on this lap here, and SS7 is 4/10 in front of us. Can we take this flat out here? Yes, we do keep it flat out. Get on the battery as soon as I know that we're not going to go into the wall. But then again, we're not close enough, so we have to turn it off halfway down the straight here. And we're hoping that P3 is draining his battery to defend every single time. And like I said, with the lights flashing in the wets, it's impossible to tell where his battery level is at. So lap number 15 now. There's only a couple laps left to go. We need to make this move stick. There's no threat from behind. We are 3/10 behind now, P3, and 2.5 tenths. Trying to get a decent launch off this final corner. My wrists are killing at this point. Got a little snap of oversteer. Flat out. We tap the wall a little bit, just draining the battery, hoping. I think he's out of battery at this point. We're gonna go around the outside, hanging around the outside, and let's just see if we go late enough on the brakes. Red proximity arrow is still there. He nudges ahead a little bit, but we get better traction, and finally we get out ahead. He has to back out as he's not far enough along the inside of this right-hander. So took us quite a few laps. I think, what was that, 6 or 7 laps to get ahead. Really good defending from SS7, really clean as well. I don't believe we made any contact. I think he made contact with Mullenman, but it could have been lag, but at least with us, he kept it pretty clean. So we make it back up to our qualifying spot, but yes, trust me when I say this was one of the most physically demanding races that I've done. I'm gonna have to turn down the force feedback when we race at a track like Zandvoort and in the wets, because it was just for a guy that was very lonely in his teenage years and gave his wrist a huge workout, if you guys know what I'm saying. This race reminded me of my teenage years. So yeah, we're gonna have to turn down the force feedback next race, and hopefully the wrists won't get so sore. But yeah, pretty decent race. Not too much action because it was in the wet and we didn't get DRS or anything like that. But still, probably one of the most difficult attacking races that I've had to do, and having to have a lot of patience and hoping to God that Mullenman could get ahead and SS7 could drop back far enough for us to try and make the overtake. But yeah, I don't want to do another race like this again, or if I do, yeah, we're gonna have to turn the force feedback down. But we do manage to finish on the podium. So if you guys think I've earned it, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat bok choy, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. I think right now we're sitting in the promotion to Gold 3 zone. But we should be able to get some more races in on the weekend and hopefully secure that, as it seems like the higher we get in the divisions, the better racing we get. Even if I'm not winning, I don't care if I win or lose. As long as the racing is good, like this race, I'm happy with that. So yeah, hopefully we can keep getting promoted, and I'll see you guys in the next one.